the boss.
Oh, yeah. Hey!
Hi, everybody.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Welcome to the Berlin Open Stage Show, the Boss Podcast. I'm Trevor Silverstein.
And I'm Stentor Jonsson. This is the podcast where we invite a group of people to record a podcast to be released on our stream.
Yes, usually it's an open stage that we host at Comedy Cafe Berlin where anybody can get up and record this hour-long podcast, as Stentor mentioned. But as some of you may already can guess, we are stuck in quarantine and we are doing these podcast recordings over Zoom.
Yeah, but we're still having people sign up. Usually it's famous people or some interesting types of characters who are like engaged in a specific maybe type of subculture that we don't know about. So it's really eye-opening, I would say, to listen to these episodes.
Yes. And this is an eye-opening episode for sure. So as some of the people listening might be familiar with, I know Stentor, you were very excited about this in general. ESPN is doing a documentary series right now called The Last Dance, all about the Chicago Bulls and their 97-98 season as they were trying to win their sixth NBA championship.
Yes, sixth championship. It's focusing on Michael Jordan a lot, but also Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, and Phil Jackson, the coach for that time period as well. A great, fun documentary that just concluded, available on Netflix in Europe, so you can watch it there. So I was really excited when I heard that some people from, I guess, the Chicago Bulls organization reached out to do a show.
Yeah, and not only that, like we didn't want to step on ESPN's toes, so when we found out that this wasn't exactly people from the Chicago Bulls, but actually arena staff from the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, from the United Center, the
United
venue
Center.
They played their game set.
And they wanted to tell their story, which they said was far more intriguing and interesting than The Last Dance. And so I was very curious.
Yeah, they wanted. I mean, The Last Dance has all these this intrigue and rumors and I mean sports at the highest stage. But these people who work in the arena said that there were much more interesting things happening in the arena than with the actual team that people knew about. And they wanted to do a 10-episode series with us, but I mean, we
couldn't afford that. We couldn't.
Yeah. We couldn't afford that. I mean, people sign up for one episode, but, you know, if we're going to give them 10 episodes, we can't afford that.
No, we can't afford that. Anyway, let's give it up for today's episode, The Last Stand.
Hey, how's everybody doing out there in Radioland? How are you guys doing? Do you have your coffee? You're ready to go? Ready to record?
Ready to roll.
Oh, I changed to wine a long time ago.
Oh, great. This is us. This is the legendary staff from the United Center and the Chicago Stadium before that. You all know us. You all know our stories, but we feel like we've been overshadowed a little bit in the last few weeks. You know, what with the release of this hit documentary, The Last Dance, on ESPN and Netflix, which is chronicling the career of Michael Jordan, who I always thought was a little bit overrated. And of course, specifically the 97-98 championship run for the Chicago Bulls, the second three-peat. Have you been watching the show, guys?
I keep it on while I'm cooking. Kind of glance. It's good to see all the old faces, but honestly, none of this is news to me. So you know, it's. And frankly, they run a little crazy with the truths there. So
it's not great.
We were all there, so we know.
I've been watching the show for 20 minutes at a time. And then I stop, and then I go back to it later.
Okay, first of all, you know, we don't need to introduce ourselves really because everyone knows us, but let's do it for formality's sake. I'm, of course, Michael Saudi Arabia. I was the manager of the merch store in the United Center for a brief successful period in the 90s, and before that in the Chicago Stadium. When the Bulls played there and the Blackhawks. I ran a fairly successful merch store and many considered me at the time to be MVE, most valuable employee of the center, and even maybe every center of where they played professional sports in the United States or the world. Let's go around the horn. We have Liv Sojak.
Yep, that's me. Lip Sojak. Sojakin.
Oh, sorry. I think there's something wrong with my microphone. Lip.
Yeah, it probably just got cut off the last letter of that. I operate the little truck that goes around and delivers things inside the stadium. So I drive the truck around in the stadium and I deliver food and goods to different stands. I also work the Zamboni machine for the hockey games as well, because I'm one of the only people that still has a license for indoor driving inside of stadiums. You have to have a special license to have for indoor driving, and
you're a key member of the personnel at the United Center, and of course before that you were in New York, really killing it over there before you got into it with us.
That's right. Right.
Yeah. Let's go around the horn. Penny.
Oh yeah. Penny Clarice Sippen, reporting. A veteran of the concession stands of Chicago Stadium and then later United Center. If there is a crumb on a desk, it's because of me. All the food's been running through me. I do a lot of. Well, I'm very versatile in that. I jump into any role that needs filling and my game is assisting. I assist. I just try to get the food out there, and obviously been here for years and years. I had a brief stint elsewhere, but then I came back.
Yeah, great facilitator in general.
In general, yeah. I see something that's done and I do it. That's me. That's Penny. That's old Penny. I mean, it's in the name. Penny sipping. If you need something to sip, you bring me a penny and you get it.
That's perfect. And finally, Ben S. Mothman.
Yo, what's up, guys? How's everyone doing? Yeah, I'm Ben S. Mothman. I'm a janitor. Looks like my volume's peaking a little bit. Basically, I'm one of the toughest janitors in the business. I run a clean ship no matter what arena I'm working in. A long time ago, I realized I didn't know what I was doing with my life. I was pretty aimless, and then I discovered mopping and janitoring and overall maintenance and hygiene, and I became one of the best mopmans, one of the best janitors in the league. And you know what? I never really cared, honestly. I just did the thing I loved to do, and it made me feel good.
Yeah, Ben, probably the most colorful of all the staff in the 90s. A real party boy, I'd say.
Talking about these tats, is that what you mean by the colorful?
Yeah. These tats, and I have to say, with full respect to everyone else on this episode here, probably the most known in your post Chicago years.
Yeah, I've stayed pretty relevant.
Yeah, you've been getting involved in international politics. I heard you've been trying to make relations with South Korea worse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can see behind me this janitorial room I got here. I'm currently stationed in Seoul, in South Korea, and I'm doing my best every day to make a pretty decent ally one of our enemies.
That's smart. All right, guys. Now let's talk about it. Let's talk about the glory years. I mean, there's a lot of nuggets that we have that we want to unearth. Of course, if we start talking about me, I started working with the Bulls organization in '84. Spent 3 years in North Carolina, really tearing it up in the merch business over there. And then I was drafted to join the Bulls in '84.
That was a heated draft. That was
it
a
was
very
suspenseful because a lot of people thought that I might go first, but at the time I was considered too short to really sell merch at a high level.
Hard to reach those top shelf jerseys.
Yeah. It's back then it was all about the big man who could pick up the jerseys from the higher pegs and bring them down to the customers. But they didn't know that my jumping ability and my overall read of the merch business would compensate.
Yeah, you grew so much. You grew so much in just a short amount of time. I mean, it's remarkable to see how much you grew and how much.
It was amazing to me. Yeah, after I think the first or second season that they altogether threw out those sticks with the hooks on the top because they didn't need to use them anymore to reach shirts.
They didn't need to, and that was despite me breaking my leg during my second season.
Amazing.
And I was rolling around the merch store in a wheelchair. And still I could beat any big man who tried to pick up these jerseys.
Michael, can I? For you, it goes way further back than that. I have a rumor that I would like you to maybe shed some light on. Is it true that you want to kind of move?
You want to kind of move the timeline backwards?
Yeah, I want to go back a little bit,
confusing the kind of
because I'm so interested. I've always been so interested in you, Michael, because I feel like we were a family, right? We were a team.
Right.
And we fought hard and we won a lot of championships in terms of the arena awards, and we were a dynasty. And but you were the leader, and in many ways, I always heard this rumor. Were you cut from your high school merch store? Is that true?
Ha. Oh man, I don't know about that. The thing is, it was a fierce competition with me and my brother growing up. He always wanted to run merch stores. And I wasn't even focused on that at the time. I wanted to sell baseball bats. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to grow up to sell baseball bats to people. But my brother, he wanted to run merch stores with jerseys. But our father, he would challenge us to compete, and that is kind of what drove this competitive edge that I had this whole time, and still have today as a owner of the merch. I grew up to own the merch store for the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask, it was such a surprise that year when you decided to leave the arena and to go work for the Chicago White Sox arena and start to actually sell baseball bats.
Yeah. We're moving the timeline from back to forward now. Yeah,
again, the timeline has moved, but your short stint in sports equipment, that was a wild move that I think no one anticipated.
I mean, no one did. It was a rough time for me because just before I decided to leave our very successful organization, we had three-peated at the time in the Arena Awards. We'd won 3 years in a row, and I felt like I had nothing else to prove.
I mean, also, we were slinging merchandise and snacks and beverages like never before.
The overall arena experience, you come in there as a sports fan, you can easily get your tickets, you can easily get food, you can easily buy your favorite jersey, the floors are spotless, and all the products are in the right place because of Lip's skills on the as a driver.
Yeah. I remember when we lost Horace Pants when he went and left to go to Orlando, and I thought, I don't know if we're going to be able to keep up the same standards. I don't know if we're really going to be able to sell as much merch, food, and everything that.
He was very important. He was head of ticket sales. Really did a great job.
Yeah, he was. And he did great in Orlando, but when we brought in Ben S. Mockman
from Detroit, I was working in
the
Detroit.
Floors had never been.
Working janitorial services in the Palace. I worked. It was a tough city. I got to be honest with you. We were a tough crew in Detroit. I wasn't used to working with a friendly crew like you all in Chicago at that time. We were tough. We didn't play by the rules, so to speak. We had our own kind of physical. We were the most physical arena staff ever was.
Yeah, and nobody wanted to play you. Nobody wanted to come
to the stadium at all.
Yeah, the sports fans, they didn't really want to enter the palace at all.
No, we were tough. I mean, we were tough from security crew down too. Like we had reinforcements outside, people who were ready to get physical. When people stepped in the paint, that's what we called the arena. We called the arena the paint. It was they were going to get knocked down if they were coming in the arena.
Yeah, and that came to kind of bite some of your players in the ass because, of course, your star player at the time, Isaiah Thompson.
Yeah.
When
you say our star player, that was our best hot dog guy.
Yeah. I mean, star player in this kind of colloquial sense that we use sports terms.
Making those famous Detroit hot dogs.
Yeah, famously the best hot dogs. When it came to representing arena staff internationally at the Barcelona Arena Olympics in '92, he was not allowed to join the cream team.
No.
Right. It's really debated though whether Isaiah Thompson was the star of that arena, because some people say that Joe Dumarsbars was
slinging those candy bars like nobody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really was.
Now, getting back to my first retirement from the arena business, of course, there were a lot of rumors following the tragic gangland-style murder of my entire family in the summer of '93.
Well, yeah, there had been speculations that you were kind of giving away merch on the side, and that was there was an internal investigation as to whether you were giving away,
Yeah, people were saying that Jerry Reinsdorf wanted to get rid of me because I had been illegally giving away merch. And also there were the rumors regarding the gambling I was doing on dog fights. I had a full dog fighting operation, but I could quit any time, really. I mean, it wasn't a problem because I was making a lot of money as head of merch. So, it's only a problem if you're losing too much money. And it was just my competitive edge that fueled me. At the end, I wasn't even putting money on the dogs. What I did was I would check out the dogs beforehand, and then I'd see if a dog looked at me in a nasty way. I'd go like, oh shit, this dog over there is going down, and I'd place a bet on the other dog. I had these beefs with the dogs. Yeah. No one's interested in talking about my dog fighting years.
Well, it's not. It's a little bit of a stain on the.
Yeah, I agree with Penny on this one.
Our joint history as one of the the most smooth sailing teams ever to work in this center.
I agree with Penny on this one, man. I mean, I as someone who had a checkered past and still has some difficulties, honestly, still getting in trouble every now and then. I always found the dogfighting thing to be one of the things that threatened the stability of our organization.
I mean, at the time though, you were famous. You were dating Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah.
You were starring in action movies with Treat Williams.
Yep.
You were really just going all Hollywood on
famously, a character in the hit film Fifth Element was kind of modeled after you, one of the janitors there in that movie.
Yeah, exactly.
You remember the scene with the janitors?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, and I gotta say, just as a side note to this whole thing is that I've, as you all know, been stuck in a very unfair contract at the center for a very long time, and it's kind of hurtful for me because I have 14 siblings and 13 children to pay for. And so just, when you were burning money, that was kind of, I don't know, it didn't feel good.
Well, it was rough on you because at the time you were arguably the second best staff member at the United Center,
Exactly.
but you were being paid as like the 14th.
Almost nothing. Yeah.
You were a very low paid staff member for an arena worker in general.
And in general, to move that timeline back to the '97 season, we started that season without you, and that was really tough.
I mean, I have some wrist problems from slinging all those fries.
Yeah.
They can be real heavy. Just when you have 20,000 people coming through a center at any given night, that's a lot of fries, and it takes a toll on your wrist. So I had to have surgery, and I was kind of just seeing if I could maybe like bump up my pay grade and just seeing. Like I was saying, like I'd like to see you, take on the hordes without me. But ultimately, I love you guys too much, and that was totally the reason that I came back, is that I just couldn't watch my team without me.
A lot of people don't think that fries are that heavy, but when you deal with the amount of fries that you were dealing with, they do get heavy. Anything's heavy. It's when true. There's a lot of things, then they get heavy. Absolutely. And that's
what they're not showing you in that Last Dance ESPN documentary. It's the real work that went on behind the scenes. And all the controversy and the beefs that we were having at the time, and again, Sippen, you had a few of these moments where
I would say that I'm generally a very nice person, and I've got people like me in general. But sometimes everybody has a length. Their fuse is a certain length, and a couple of times. I remember that one time when they had this what was he, Yugoslavian or something? I can't even remember. He was from a war-torn country, and they wanted him. So they call me a small forward because there's 2 lines of servers in the booth, and I'm quite short in stature, so I always go first. But they wanted him to be handing out the fries, and I was like, well, if you want him to do that, then do that, but I'm not going to be pumping no sauce on those fries.
Yeah, that was, I think he was called Tony Ketchup. Yeah.
Tony Ketchup.
I mean, in all honesty, considering the name, he should have been on the sauces, is what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was a dark stain on my
I mean,
my
Tony
career.
Ketchup, we had already in Barcelona, we had really like put down the hammer on that guy.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. When we took that vacation to Barcelona, all of us. And we ran
are we going to talk about the Barcelona trip? We're going to talk about it?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because that was sort of a thing where, as the season was going on, things were getting intense for us, right? So we had to, we approached management at a certain point. We said, look, we need a vacation. We got to do something.
Yeah.
And of course, what are we going to eat when we go to Barcelona?
And they were, of course.
I mean, they have those loaded fries. They have patatas bravas, and that's a totally different technique that I was not familiar with when
those things
when
are
ketchup
loaded.
came in. Yeah, there's they got different sauces that I've never even heard of, and they're throwing that guy in the front line. I don't know.
Yeah, we actually brought a lot of good energy back from that Barcelona trip. We in the arena we got people to start chanting "Aoli, Aoli, Aoli, Aoli." It was a very exciting time.
Yeah, it's kind of a backwards ole ole in a way.
How they do it in Spain.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a good time. That was a lovely break from just the hassle of the center here.
But Tony Ketchup, he was one of Jerry Kitchen's guys. Jerry Kitchen, of course, a sniveling worm who kind of betrayed you, Sippen, when he
absolutely
roped
with that
you
contract.
In that long-ass contract.
I was paying them money.
Yeah, that was weird when you were working and you had to bring a check every week.
Look, I obviously wasn't. I was low in the draft, and I, came kind of from obscurity, and you
got traded from Seattle.
From a different background, and I gotta say, I didn't really understand that contract when and to sign it with blood, I thought was excessive. But I was a rookie back then. I didn't know.
Yeah. Jerry Kitchen always wanted everything signed in blood.
That's right. One thing that kind of gets passed by a lot is the amount of time that I had to spend at Jerry Kitchen's house. Is that he would just call me and I would have to go over to his house and deal with all of this stuff. There's so much drama going on. I personally, I mean, it would be late at night, it would be early in the morning, it would just be all hours of the day, and I would just have to drop what I was doing and just go to Jerry Kitchen's house.
You'd knock on his door thrice, and his manservant would open up with holding a candlestick. He'd bring you to his coffin.
Yeah.
And he'd be up, and he wanted you to, because you were his guy. You were his main guy at the time. He picked you to kind of lead the charge.
He originally never wanted me to even work for the arena at all. He was not interested in me.
Is that?
Oh yeah. You had a stint in San Antonio where the press was sort of hounding you.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. And I was miserable. I hated it in San Antonio.
Well, Lip, I'll say that, you know, all the time that you worked with Kitchen is that what's I think your strong suit is that you were always a really great facilitator and team builder and could kind of, bridge the gap between management and us, the talent.
Lip, I'd definitely say that, like, one of your main characteristics are, of course, those broad shoulders, very broad shoulders. You are legally not allowed to walk down a street because your shoulders are wider than the legal axle width of a normal car.
That's right. And this is actually something that makes me really good at what I do, driving that truck around inside the stadium, because it can be very dangerous if people don't see me coming.
No one's ever got run over with the Zamboni when you were working, because you would just knock them out of the way with your shoulders. Even before
you did run over a few people with the Zamboni when you were working in Puerto Rico, because I mean things were pretty crazy down there.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
and that's also where you picked up your occultism. Is that not right?
Yeah, you are a student of Aleister Crowley, if I'm not mistaken, and you are into sex magic.
Yes. The magic of sex magic. Exactly. I do.
Yeah, I mean, and that is what influenced your style of working. You had all these systems in place that kind of came from this.
Yeah, a lot of people think that sex with wild animals is not appropriate. Is that it's not?
I bet on it.
But it's a spiritual. It's a spiritual.
I bet like who's gonna mount too.
True.
You know, who's gonna come first?
Yeah.
I mean, I bet on animal sex a lot.
I mean, those dogs. That was part of their job.
Yeah, and you know, when your dogs Lip got gangland style executed because of my betting on sex magic, you know, I was sorry about that. I really was.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I do remember was when Ben S. Mopman, when he first got hired, and I was a little worried, honestly, because he's a little unhinged and a little bit. The first time we met, he didn't even stand up, and so exactly. But when you came into my Zamboni office and you saw that picture of sex magic. Memorabilia all over the walls of people having sex with wolves and different bears and different wild animals, and you said, "Look!" and you pulled out your locket, the locket that you wear all the time, and inside the locket was you having sex with the wild polar bear, and it was at that moment we did this.
Yeah.
Ben, let's never forget that at this time, people who worked in arena were men. You know, they were manly men. And, you know, it would have been wild to stretch the imagination to imagine effeminate men working in that situation. But you went even further. You were kind of a transhumanist. You were like a cyborg. Am I right?
Yeah, in many ways, yeah. You know, I was always searching for just something that made me feel good, you know, because I was never a happy person. And then so when I started working in the arena, And I started being surrounded by all these people and people watching me, people even looking up to me, people seeing me pick up trash, people seeing me, someone tries to throw something in the recycling bin, they can't go in there, and I'm up there and I'm swatting it out of their hands and into the trash can. You know, I became famous for this kind of stuff.
I mean, sometimes people weren't even done with their food.
No, hell no, because it's like, why should they get their food when they're done? When I say they're done, they're done. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that when I felt like people started appreciating the work I was doing, I started to see myself as something more than just a human, more than a person. And so I started to see the ways
you were doing the dirty work for sure. But then also sometimes you would disappear. You'd go to Vegas.
Yeah.
You would, you were dating Baywatch star Yasmin Bleeth.
Exactly.
Big scandalous relationship with Yasmin Bleeth.
Yeah.
We would have to accept, and Lip really kind of, led the way there. He would say, let him, have his fun, and then, I had to go bring you back.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
But look, I think that made us all stronger, because if I wasn't able to express myself, I don't know what I would have been, We all knew. You guys saw me sometimes. The depths I would hit. The lows that I would hit. I'd be sulking around the janitor's office. I'd be grabbing unfinished beers, drinking unfinished beers off the seats. As I'm cleaning them up, and that's no way to be. That was the low point of any season, was when I found myself drinking beers unfinished off of the arena seats as I was going around cleaning up.
I think the strength of this bond that we had, which was so legendary, is in part due to the fact that we were able to kind of work around each other's flaws, whether it be the dog gambling or the sex magic, or we and my temperament when it comes to being stiffed. We found a way to work together, and that's what kind of made us stronger than anyone
arguably,
else.
Penny, you were the most well behaved in a way, and I think we owe that the cohesiveness to you.
Thank you. I mean, I would say I often overlooked. The person running the concession stands is usually not maybe the star of the show, but I don't. I'm. But I do what needs to be done.
One thing,
I hope people.
But let's not forget that when I left in '93 and Penny took over as kind of the leader, you didn't have a great 2 seasons. I went to work for the White Sox. And a lot of people I ended up going to Alabama.
Should we also bring up that you didn't really sell a lot of sports equipment?
Okay. Now this again, that I didn't sell sports equipment.
Well, a lot of people say that if he would have given him another couple of years selling baseball bats and sports equipment, baseball equipment, then he would have really
Jerry
sold
Reinsdorf told me that he believes that I would have made it all the way back from Birmingham, Alabama, up to the majors.
Right. I mean, a lot of people, it's a whole different thing selling baseball bats than it is selling basketballs and basketball jerseys and basketball hoodies, stuff like that. It's a whole different thing. You need to get low to the ground. Baseball bats are on the ground usually, and that's a totally different muscle set and a different.
And I was batting
to
200 at the time, which means that I was selling to every fifth customer who came into the store a baseball bat, and I mean those are great rookie numbers.
But let's fast forward.
Okay, the timeline is moving forward now. It's not confusing.
Yeah. No, I know. I was just getting excited about that part of the time period. But right when we are getting excited about that, let's move to a different. Let's move to a different part of the time period. Which there's something that happened when you did come back and you were working in the arena that you there's a couple new guys and one of them Steve Curly Fries. When you hit Steve Curly Fries in the face.
I just wanted to motivate him. I mean, I knew he would go on to do great things. He eventually moved to Oakland. He's done some good stuff over there. But I
think he has a franchise now.
Yeah, he's doing great. I mean, I think it's partly because I inspired him. I would always try to get physical. I try to break people's spirits. You remember when we played Charlotte? When when we were having that sales competition with Charlotte, and of course, at that time, BJ Cunnilingus had already worked for us at the arena, but now BJ Cunnilingus was working at the Charlotte arena, and he came at us with everything he got. But I had to really take offense to that, so I said, I will have your entire family gangland style executed, and it really shook him, and they lost that sales off after that.
Michael, can we also maybe, I don't know if it's fast forwarding, I can't remember exactly where in the timeline this was, but can we talk about the sneakers? Can we talk about the Air Saudi Arabias?
Yeah. Yeah, they did get confused a lot with an airline.
Yeah, the big lawsuit, right?
Yeah, there was a lawsuit with an airline. Yeah. But, when I got that deal, not a lot of people expected me to take it because there were all these other sneaker companies that wanted me. They wanted to do Adidas Arabia and, of course, Converse All-Star Arabia. Mm-hmm. Which a lot of staff was doing at the time.
But to me, that was a game-changing moment, though, when that happened, because you became such an icon, and people really would come into United Arena to see you and to see you do that iconic reach for the top
with
shelf,
my tongue out,
with your tongue out and your legs separated.
People wouldn't believe that you could reach the shirt that high before,
and you would jump from the cash register.
After.
Yeah. I would jump. That was like a signature move for me, and I think that's what eventually fueled my Hollywood career when I was cast in the movie Merch
Cosmic
Jam.
Jelly.
Merch Jam,
subtitled Cosmic Jelly, where I was, I was opposite Yogi Bear. And nobody thought that would work at the time.
Yeah, because I didn't think it would work at the time. I was a big cartoon guy. I loved cartoons. It was one of my favorite things. And I got a lot of cartoons all over my skin, as you can tell. And one of the things I was surprised by, I didn't think that Yogi Bear, the universe of Yogi Bear, was really big enough for a movie to deal with and expand. Like, that was one of the things that confused me.
Hanna-Barbera has all these, of course, side characters that you wouldn't have thought. The Flintstones, the Jetsons. The premise was that aliens who will run a theme park wanted an attraction. They wanted someone to sell merch at the theme park.
Yeah.
So, of course, they go to the biggest guy in merch sales on Earth, Michael Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, well, and you were retired at the time, or you were working. You were working in minor league baseball.
Yeah, so they got Gunther from France to be kind of my manager. And you know what happens is I get sucked down a hole into the Earth's core where all the Hanna-Barbera characters live. And so I joined forces with them to defeat the aliens in a game of selling merch.
Yeah. I love that movie, man. I love that, especially when things get going and that song comes on. Y'all ready for merch?
Yeah, that really roused up my engine, gotta say.
And that became a famous thing. At every game at United Arena, we would get the whole crowd going, "Y'all ready for merch?" And you'd come out.
And I know there was another movie coming out around the same time that they cover in this other documentary, but I believe that the R. Kelly song we had was much more offensive. Let's just say
leave it at that.
Yeah, let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
It wasn't I believe I can fly. I'll tell you that. It was something else that he believed.
Yeah.
Right. And if we
ongoing litigation,
bandwidth laws.
Let's not dive into that. Also, still just some open wounds.
Yes, but anyway, second three-peat.
Yeah.
I sent out a press release, which was very long. It was like a Unabomber manifesto.
Well, I had been, I'll be the first to admit that we weren't, that second season without you, we weren't really running a tight ship here. A lot of drinks being spilled, a lot of, bags getting lost in the halls of the center, and just, every time the camera would pan over the concession stand, I would write out in fries your name.
Yeah, we did a great job with the first year you were gone of really working that triangle of the concession stand,
shop, yeah,
the janitor's office.
That was how we
merch shop,
functioned as a unit. We needed that.
And we came pretty darn close. I'm not, I'd say
I'm
that
proud.
was, I'm proud of that season as well.
Yeah, you say that.
as-
Of course you say that. I mean, you got all these new guys at the time, but, you did okay, I guess.
I mean, we would have loved to have you, but we respected your decision to do whatever the hell they were doing over there.
Yeah, I mean.
But I was glad to see you back, and but the first season you were back, well, because you came in mid-season, and our ticket sales and food sale, everything was just not at the best place, I'd say.
Yeah, and I was a little bit rusty, I have to admit. I was still in the best shape to pick up baseball bats low to the ground instead of reaching packs of jerseys high up.
Right. And at this point, Hakeem Elijah Wanahamburger and the rest of his team was really doing
and
very
Clyde
well.
Driven as well. Clyde Driven.
Clyde Driven.
The two of them really were.
Charles Barclays Center.
And we had been with those guys in Barcelona. We knew those guys, and
when you say Charles Barclay Center, you mean Charles Barclay Center. He was a center. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
They named the arena in Brooklyn after him eventually. Yeah.
Really good as a center for only being 6'6". Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't forget about that.
No.
Yeah.
But it was a new kind of field. We were up against some great arenas at the time. Ended up fighting with Seattle and Indiana and eventually Utah for some of the best arenas, and of course we destroyed Horace Pants.
Oh, he had it coming.
Yeah.
He had it coming.
Yeah.
Also, his eyesight was getting worse. He couldn't really see where he'd put the merch down. He had the muscles to pick it up, and they remained, but, his glasses were getting very thick.
I mean, merch sale is all about finesse. It's like people talk about it being the physicality, but it's technique.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we came back, and, I had Horace's pants.
You also got a grant from a guy named Horace, though.
Sorry?
Thank you for bringing that up. That
I got a grant.
You got a grant from a guy named Horace.
Horatio Sanz's grant. Horatio Sanz, of course, at the time, Chicago improviser. And I always wanted to be funny. I would be batting with other arena staff, the security guys, about who could, throw pennies the hardest at, the players. The players weren't really that cool at the time. You'd see these Chicago Bulls players walk through, and, all the fans were out for us. They liked us. The ball game was only like secondary. So we would be throwing pennies at them, like who could hit them the hardest. And, on the occasion that I would lose, I'd make a remark, kind of like a joke, and they weren't quite landing. They were all pretty mean. So I sought out Second City improvisers, studied under Dell for a while. Dell Clauset, who was a great janitor.
That's right.
Yeah.
You were
one of the best.
Yeah. You were always inviting us to your improv shows, and
because that was the thing.
I would dominate these improv shows. I'd dominate it.
Well, that was the thing. I think where you started to really thrive was when you realized that selling merch wasn't about saying no to the customer. It was about agreement and saying yes, and maybe yes, I can get you that Jordan jersey, and why don't I also get you this hat?
That's true. There was a time about 7 years into my career when I had been winning it all again and again. I was the best of the best. And then, Lip, you told me, hey, why don't you maybe pass that customer on to John Sorry, what was that? Barleycorn. John Barleycorn, that's right. Who is, less of a flashy merch salesman, but, he can sometimes hit those long tries, long shot customers. So I told the customer, hey, why don't you talk to John Barleycorn over there? And, guess what? He sold to that customer. And that was a real eye-opening moment that I didn't have to do at all.
Well, another important aspect of this is that at that point, the concession stand.
The synergy started we found some sort of just energy.
Yeah, but it was because you guys at one point your stands were farther away. The janitor's office and the concession stand were farther away, and the merch stand was kind of all by itself, and it was just it was where all the customers would go. When I suggested that they move, that was a big thing when I got hired. Is that why don't we move the concession stand here and the janitor stand here and created a triangle where the customers would come in and you could bounce the customers off.
Yeah, I remember. Just this beautiful
why don't you go get
back
some
and
food?
forth where I'd be like, ooh, looks like some of that sauce gonna go on that shirt. Maybe you should head on over to the merch store. And in turn, Michael would say like, oh, we only have size medium. You're gonna have to fill that out. Maybe you should go over to the concession stand. Just like this beautiful synergy that was happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's where the name United Arena really came from, was the fact that we were a united workforce. It was only later on that United Airlines tried to, come in and give us a little bit of capital in that regard.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of connections with airlines that we've had.
That was another controversy with the Air Saudi Arabia, is that it conflict with our image as a United Airlines sponsored arena.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Right.
Now, of course, we had this great season in 95 to 96 where, we were unstoppable at that time. We were working together incredibly well.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you think about that guy? They called him the hairnet that guarded you, that guarded you.
Wait, let's get into this because we don't talk about this enough. I think that when we're hosting games or we're traveling, we're on the road, we are playing defense as well when it comes to.
Absolutely have.
We're trying to stop the other arenas from doing their jobs.
We're on the road, and look, when you order as many gangland style executions as I do, you gotta be on your toes.
Yeah, and I was known as the best. I was known as the best on trash defender that ever lived.
That's true.
True.
Yeah.
We would go. We'd go to Madison Square Garden, and I would just fill that place with trash. I did not let a single person throw anything out.
That's true. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Even Patrick Gross, who was a very big staff member at the time in New York, you would just lock him down.
Right.
Yeah. And by that you mean Patrick Gross, right? Like Grosz,
Right.
What?
Never mind.
Well, do you remember when Penny
Oh
Sippin?
yeah, I would bring food and just give it away. Yeah.
Yeah, and that time that you just poured food all over Patrick.
I did. Yeah.
Gross.
That was.
And you stepped over him.
That was disrespectful.
It was disrespectful, but guess what? I don't regret it. I'd do it again.
Yeah, and then you walked right past Spike My Drink, Lee Williams, and pointed it in his face.
That guy.
Yeah.
And
that guy makes some good movies.
For it.
Spike My Drink. We did a commercial together. He was all right. He was a little too political for my taste. I, of course.
Yeah. Well, his breakthrough movie was Say the Wrong Thing, so.
Yeah, that's right. And then when he did White Klansman, that was too much at that time, I think.
Yeah.
But he was too political. I tried to stay away from politics. He wanted me to endorse this politician in North Carolina because I was the biggest thing in arena staff at the time. He wanted me to Spike My Drink. Lee Williams was a big supporter of the incumbent racist governor of North Carolina. He wanted me to support him, and as a white person, of course, I
should have,
but I didn't want to get involved. I said, Democrats buy merch too, and I didn't go all the way.
Right.
A lot of racists hated me after that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was a stand. You took a stand.
Yeah.
But then you also, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't your Air Saudi Arabian shoe line get featured heavily in Spike My Drink's first film?
It did. I mean, yeah, he always thought it was cool. Yeah. My Air Saudi Arabia shoe line is not problematic at all. I don't know why people have been criticizing it. It is not made in sweatshops. It's absolutely okay.
Famously, Saudi Arabia has no slaves, so
no slaves, and they are really cleaning up their act these days.
Yeah, they have better contracts than me.
I noticed we don't have much time left. Should we fast forward to where we all are now? Catch people up. On
of course. After we finished our second three-peat in '98, I retired again, and then I never returned to merch sales, no matter what anyone in Washington D.C. might tell you. I didn't go. I mean, people were saying I went down there for a couple of years to sell merch, and that I was a little bit over the hill. But I don't think that happened. I don't think we need to discuss it at all.
You did do, men's T-shirt and underwear advertisements, though.
I did do that. Yeah, that was very cool. And then I ended up, kind of running things in Charlotte, and things have been going swimmingly. Merch sales are at an all-time low. Nobody wants to go to the arena or,
How does it feel to watch Curly Fries just dominating now?
It's hard. Curly Fries is, he's one of the best right now. And I feel like it's partly because I punched him and had his wife and children gangland style executed. And also his back broken. He required surgery later.
Right.
Yeah, it was me.
Right, that was you.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't
know that. Yeah, I also
cut
cut the Achilles tendon of one of his coworkers at a very crucial moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They were getting a little bit too big for their bridges over there in Oakland. They were trying to get too close to my legacy, so I tried to take them all down.
They were famously very close to doing a three-peat.
Yeah,
so.
Steph Indian Curry.
Right.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about those guys. I mean, those guys, they broke a record, sure, but,
Kevin
it don't mean nothing if you... Kevin Durant. It don't mean nothing if you ain't got that ring.
Draymond.
Yeah, I will say Kevin Durant
Draymond
is
green salad.
Probably like one of the guys. He plays the best music in any arena.
I mean, when he plays, he's hungry like the wolf for sure.
Exactly.
And,
and I will say that Steph Indian Curry, like, we were slinging fries and hot dogs and stuff. They're really pushing the boundaries up in Golden State, in Oakland. They're
just of concession sales in general.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They're doing some really interesting stuff, and they're expanding the game.
Yeah, I mean, Draymond green salad with his salad bar is just a salad bar in an arena is amazing. You and him would really get along, I think.
Yeah, like similar playing styles. In a way.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Same energy.
Yeah.
Fun energy.
Yeah, great energy.
Absolutely. Yeah, really good energy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Lip, you went on to, of course, join Kobe bean salad, and
and Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaquille O'Neal, yeah, exactly.
And
that was cool because like after that, like that was they had a big Irish pub in the Staples Center. So Shaquille O'Neal, that was huge, big Irish pub.
Right. Yeah.
And you won more arena awards than any of us at this point.
Yeah, it's a shame that I've kind of drifted off after some of my some of the racists didn't enjoy the comments that I made about white people.
Wait, remind us, what were the comments?
You're gonna have to remind me.
Laban Bon Le Bon Bon James.
Oh yeah, I remember.
The Cinnabon James.
Showing.
I thought it was Kobe Meat Bryant.
No, Kobe Meat Bryant. Oh yeah, that's.
Kobe Meat Bryant,
I remember. Yeah, you said about Le Bon Bon that. They were kind of like.
They're like going on road trips
you called them something like a parliament of guys or something, which is very like specifically racist towards white people to use that phrase.
Exactly. Yeah. I also said off camera that they were a bunch of crackers.
And you did mean the crackers that you get, as a food item.
Yeah, at the Matt West Concession Center.
Yeah.
We've been selling those crackers from day one.
And Penny, you went completely broke, I believe.
Well, I mean, as I stated before, I do have 14 siblings and 12 children. And I've been paying the United Center this whole time because of my awful contract. But my last husband has been kind of trying to capitalize on our fame, as it were. Been on Real Husbands of Atlanta, and. I'm coming back up, I'd say, but it's it's life. That's how it is.
Yeah.
I just got to say, I've really enjoyed your commentary along with T Big Mac on the show The Junk parentheses food.
Yeah.
Thank you. I mean,
and of course, Ben, you've been tearing it up over there in South Korea.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just a lot of people are saying, maybe I work for the CIA, and these are all rumors. I think I'm just trying to do what I believe in. And look, I just really, I really believe that South Korea deserves to be one of the biggest enemies of the United States of America. So that's why I'm here, sowing distrust and spreading misinformation. But before we go, I just want to say that we've mentioned a lot of great arena players during this time. There are so many more than we could ever thank. I mean, I'm and appreciate it, and I just want to show some love for a couple people. Up in Boston, they really nailed the parking system. Kevin Carnett was really doing some amazing stuff with the parking system.
If you're talking about parking, you've got to talk about our former co-staff worker, Bill Shopping Cart Ride, who really managed to clean up the parking area.
Yeah, all those shopping carts that we had inexplicably in the United Center parking lot. Then we also got to thank, early 2000s were big time. Alan Iphonson. I mean, he was amazing. That guy revolutionized bringing smartphones into the arenas.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course, in terms of clothing and fashion, kawaii leotard is, has completely changed the fashion for all staff workers.
Mm-hmm. Tim Dunkin' Donuts.
Absolutely.
Can't forget Tim Dunkin' Donuts. The day they brought Dunkin' Donuts into the San Antonio arena was the day basketball changed. Those arenas were different forever.
Absolutely.
And Manu Ginaravioli.
Bringing some of that Southern American flair via Europe into the arenas. Yeah.
Right.
I'm getting teary-eyed because it's so touching to think about this.
Oh.
I'm just thinking back on all the nasty things that I could have said to people to motivate them, but didn't do. I really could have, called you out on your sex magic lip. And, all the stuff that was going on there, your LSD use. Penny, I really could have rubbed your face into the way you used to throw sofas onto the court when your team was losing when I wasn't there.
I'm upfront about my temper. That's the one thing. I'm a sweetheart in general, but that's sometimes just a sofa needs to be thrown.
Yeah.
I won't apologize for that.
Yeah, and your transhumanism ban.
Yeah.
You're actually more machine than man at this point.
Yeah, and again, I appreciate all the other humans out there that were doing stuff, like what Steve Ganache was doing down in Dallas, or what what Vince Cartier was doing when they brought those watches into the Toronto arena. You know, it was really inspiring stuff to watch.
Well, it's almost like you made a list of people you wanted to thank.
Just remembering them off the top of my head now.
Had we mentioned James Hardbread bringing in old foodstuffs?
He wouldn't be anything without Russell Westbrook.
Right.
That's true.
Right. Don't forget about David Fish Sticks.
Or
the point guard.
Or Dwayne Shades, you know, the guy who brought into the sunglass stores.
That's true.
Oh yeah, the sunglass hut. That was a major move.
And yeah, I'm getting real emotional. And of course, at the end, I would like to thank the wife and children that I haven't mentioned at all throughout this whole podcast episode. I'm sure you're all safe and you haven't been gangland style executed. I'm sure it's all good with you guys. And that's the reason I haven't mentioned you at all, is because you're all safe. So I want to thank you. The United Center wouldn't have been the same in the 90s without us, the real heroes of arena staff. So I just want to thank you all in the end for the last stand that we built together there in the 98 season. And that stand was beautiful. And it incorporated merch, incorporated concessions, it incorporated a car driving through it. And of course, it also served as a janitor's closet. So thank you all for talking about this stuff with me today. All right, peace out.
Berlin. It's the Berlin Open Stage Show.
Wow.
Wow, what an episode.
So exciting. Really.
This is incredible. I mean, I'm just floored because I didn't know about any of that stuff. And I watched all the documentary. And
yeah, I've been watching The Last Dance as well. And I'm not even a huge basketball nerd, so to speak. I don't know much about the game, so I've been enjoying that. But this was mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, I had no idea about the stuff that was happening behind the scenes.
Yeah.
We have a few people to thank for this episode.
Yeah, so we have to thank Andrea, Björk, Andrésdóttir, and we have to thank Andrew Blumhagen.
Yeah, they were instrumental in making this episode happen. And we want to thank Comedy Cafe Berlin, who usually host our live shows, but can, of course, right now go to their website and buy a gift card or donate or something.
Yeah, make sure you support the arena staff over there at Comedy Cafe Berlin.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe they're going through some craziness as well.
Yeah.
We want to thank Bear Radio, the podcast network that hosts our episode online. And they have a bunch of other podcasts to check out. And Banglist, the band who made the intro theme for The Boss.
Yep. And stay tuned for more episodes. They don't stop.
They don't stop. Can't stop.
Can't stop.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to The Boss, the Berlin Open Stage Show.
The Boss is produced by Steindor Jonsson and Trevor Silverstein and is released in partnership with Bear Radio. You can find this and other shows at bearradio.org.
New episodes are recorded live every Thursday at 11 p.m. at the Comedy Cafe Berlin.
Entry is free, so join us for the live experience.
Also, a special thanks to Banglist for our theme song, and once more to Comedy Cafe Berlin.
The Boss is available wherever you get your podcasts, so be sure to subscribe and maybe even leave a review.
Interested in sponsoring The Boss? Write to us at podcasttheboss@gmail.com.
Thanks again for listening, and see you next time at the Berlin Open Stage Show.